All right, welcome. Here I'm kind of showing you what's inside the server. So this is my desktop. It's upstairs in my bedroom, or our bedroom. So my password is the spacebar. My desktop is hardly ever on, and then it's also not accessible from the internet from people outside that don't know anything else. So I don't really care that you know my password. It's not a secret. These are my brothers. They were redoing the Step Brothers style poster from the movie, or from the movie art from before the movie came out a little bit. So okay, I use Chrome browser, but I don't even know why I pulled that up. So let's see here. So to get to the server, when I manage it, I use the remote desktop connection, and that is the top one here. You can hardly see it. There, it comes into focus there. Remote desktop connection, and then the first one, Jedi to the rescue, this one there. And then I'll put in the password. Now this one I don't want to give out. And that's because that one is accessible from the internet. And I need to do that because of a few reasons, but I'll show you. Okay, so this is the server. This is that machine that I showed you downstairs under the TV in that cabinet. That machine runs headless. It has a single Ethernet cord plugged in and a power cord, and that's it. You just turn it on, it boots up, and it's running Windows XP. I chose Windows XP because all the things that I needed to do, I already know how to do on Windows XP, and it runs really stable. I mean, I don't even know how long it's been up. I'm sure that there's some kind of an uptime thing in Windows. I'm not really concerned about that. It stays on all the time. So we got the start menu here. So a few things that I think are worthwhile in teaching about a file server. So I got my computer icon here, and so this is probably the easiest way. Like using the machine like this through remote desktop connection is if the rest of your devices are Linux or Windows devices, or probably even Mac. I'm sure that there's a remote desktop connection or client for Mac. I'm sure that it exists. This isn't something you have to install on Windows. Setting it up to be accessible over your network or even over the internet is not something that is difficult. It's right there. You go to My Computer, you right click, and go down to Properties. Here, I'll pull this out of the way so we just got this. I can't make it any bigger. But you go to Remote up here, and Advanced, or Remote, just leave it at Remote. So you want to allow remote assistance invitations to be sent from this computer. That doesn't happen very often because I'm never like sitting at the computer as a workstation. But remote desktop here, allow users to connect remotely to this computer. This works the same on Windows 7, and that's how I have all my machines set up, just in case I need to get to them from the internet while I'm at work or something, or just out of the house. But so you want to click that, and then just leave it like that. That's all you need to do. The one thing that is important that you have set up is you can't run this, your user. This is something that most people do just fine. Like everybody has a password, and I have a password. But I wouldn't have a password if I didn't need it. I mean, security conscious, yes. But so you must have a password. If you try to go to the Windows login screen, like you may be able to do remote desktop connection, the computer's like, hey, what's the password? If there's no password set up, you can't log in. I don't think it requires something to be put in. So most of the time, if it's a local machine that I'm not worried about, because a lot of people on my network aren't skilled enough to be able to do this, except for me. So I would just leave it as like the spacebar, like my desktop computer. Like you have to have access to the server to get to the desktop computer from the outside world. But that's important. So definitely have that. I am the administrator because I'm the only one that really ever uses it. And so you need a password, and then set up remote desktop properties like that. You need to set it up so that you can accept connections coming in. So that's all you need for that. Now here, I'll explain why I've got two drives in here. This drive is a 2 terabyte drive with all of my data on it. Movies, TV shows, pictures, music, everything. All of my sensitive stuff's on there. If I'm worried about people seeing it, then I'll zip it up and put a password on it. So this is the C drive. So this and this are not there's two different physical drives, and they appear that way. But you could also accomplish this with just putting a partition in a single drive. But I don't want to do that because if the 2 terabyte drive dies, then your operating system is gone. And if your operating system dies, then your 2 terabyte is gone. You know, like that. You don't want to put a partition in when you're doing it like this, like a file server like this. You want the drive that does it like this. You know, it would run without this drive. You don't have to have this here. This would still run. The computer would still run because it's got an operating system to boot to. And also this machine, my main desktop, it has the brother, the identical copy of that 2 terabyte drive. All the same contents are in this drive that are in the server drive. So if this one crashed and I needed a quick backup, so our server's still running and we can still watch all our TV shows and movies, you just swap them out and share it again and put it up and it's ready to go. That's all there is to it. So that's why I have two separate physical drives. It's important that you do that, just for redundancy and all that fun stuff. Some of the applications that I use to get to it. So this machine I need to be able to access while I'm at work. And pretty much everywhere else. I can even access this on my Android phone while we're in the car if I really need to, and sometimes I do just out of boredom. So to get to it remotely, I use free SSHD. It's just an SSH daemon for Windows. And there it is. So there's settings and stuff, and it says it's not running, but it actually is running. I'm the only user on this machine. Have SFTP set to the D drive, my 2 terabyte drive, so that if I need to download or upload things, I can go like that. You just log in with an FTP client that supports SFTP, and you can do your maintenance from there. And then with the host restrictions, if you're familiar with this software, then this is important. I kept getting a bunch of people that on SSH, they set their computers up as bots, and they'll go and scour the internet for SSH ports and FTP ports that are open, that the security is not very good. So I just took this big list of IP addresses that I made from 1 to 255 dot and then star. So anything that comes after that, 255.1.1.1, like all of those IPs on the 255 are gone. 254, all of those. The only ones that I needed open were the ones that I access from, because this is done. I don't understand how to set up the key pair, the public and private for SSH yet. One day I will. I haven't needed to. This works fine for me at the moment. It was easy enough to set up by myself. So you definitely want to do like 192 if you need to connect to it locally, or like at work. Our IPs start at 192 dot and then whatever. I don't know how we got that one, but we did. It's not an internal. It's our external IP is 192 dot something. Anyway, that's something that I thought was important. So that's just that. Let's go. Okay, that's fine. So remote desktop connection. I have that one on here too, because sometimes I'll connect to my machine, like this desktop that we're using right now. While I'm at work, I can access this machine that you see right now, the server. I can access this, and then when I need to, I can access my desktop. I can go backwards from the way I'm going right now. I can also access my server that's on my parents' house, so that's another backup. So I've got 3 copies of all the data that I have, pretty much. All the TV shows and the movies and stuff like that. That's difficult and like would just be a lot of content to acquire again. I have that various places. FileZilla, a great client, and that's how I send things. I'll push them. SFTP works on this. FTP works on this. I use FTP to sync things up over the LAN because gigabit goes, like that's the gigabit speed that you'll see. SFTP doesn't work so well because I think it's encrypting it before it sends it and then decrypting it on the other side, so that's why it's a little slower. Still faster than fast Ethernet, but it's not as fast as it could be. Gigabit is awesome. I upgraded my whole network to gigabit recently. I used to have like a 16-port switch that I got for a really good deal from some guy on our local classifieds, but I sold that, and that helped pay for the upgrade that I did to my my LAN network. I use uTorrent, and I proxy all my traffic through BT Guard, and that's awesome, so that we can continue to BitTorrent like free internet citizens. You know, what I download through BitTorrent is my business, but it's pretty cool. You know, I have this. Once it shows, it'll say, "Oh, failure, success." Okay, so this one didn't work. Oh, there you go. So my IP is not this at home, 95.211.188.50, but to the torrent swarm that I may be in, that's what I appear to be. So any like hassles or whatever, my device travels through a tunnel to this server, and then it goes out from there, and they take the liability, and they can legally do that because they're a business, and for some reason the government decided that proxy clients and proxy providers aren't liable for their users' activity. So torrent's really cool. That's where we get all our TV shows. Like I said, in a different video, we do not have cable or anything like that, and I don't want that. We don't need it. We're in an age now where the internet is your portal, and you don't need anything else. We don't watch sports, so that's not an issue. The internet, everybody has the internet, so that's useful. So those FileZilla, that's how I push it. I also have a FileZilla server on here, and that's how I transfer things like back and forth on my LAN network at gigabit speed, and so that's cool. Command prompt, at least for Windows, this is useful to know. If you need to shut down your machine remotely, you type in the command shutdown, that's shutdown, space, dash, and then S for shutdown, and turn it off, R for restart, and then H for hibernate. I'm not going to do that now because I need this machine up because it's our file server, and that's how we do things here. But that works on all Windows so far. Windows 7, Windows XP, those are just the DOS commands that you might want to know. And then you can do that from SSH too. But that's here, because you're logged in via remotely, you can only log off or disconnect. You can't turn the machine off. You can't do anything like that. You've got to either go and do a FileZilla transfer and then tell it when it's done to restart it like that, or shut it off, or put in the command if the command line is available to you at the time. Sometimes you get locked out, so you have to go the alternate way. But it's nice to know how to do that. So this machine is served. That's how you serve content. At least that's how I do it. Windows XP, I have a copy of it that's less than real. So I just install the Windows XP Pro and go from there. Some things to note too. It's nice to run a Windows server, and I ran FreeNAS for a little while, but I decided against it because it was a little buggy. I found that it wasn't always being solid as a rock, and it would restart itself every once in a while. I really liked how it was that's a pure headless system where you hook up to a monitor, keyboard, and mouse to it, and you really wouldn't see much except for black text or black screen with white text. But running a Windows machine, I can do all the things that I may need to do, like convert files from MP4s to AVIs, because our system likes to run off of AVIs. So you can run the regular Windows software. If I could get a Bitcoin miner to work on this, then I would. And I tried that last week, and that's why I have my old graphics card that I put a fat PC case fan on there, some drywall screws to hold it into the heatsink. It works great, this thing, and I would have been mining Bitcoin to this day, but I couldn't get it to run remotely. Just didn't want to start. Anyway, that's a tour of my file server. If you want to know more about it, or if I didn't cover something that you have a question about, let me know. But this video is way too long now, and I'm going to stop it. So thanks for watching.